And good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sayal Baham. I am your Griot. Have a good day now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, so it's Saturday morning, and it's September 12th. Yesterday was September 11th, and you know, people just were repeating what they've heard for the last 20 years, give or take. And no one says that event and actually that event started back in Yugoslavia, in
Oh,
Serbia.
yeah.
So that event started back in World War One. When the Armenians were obliterated somebody else. Everyone's always obliterating somebody. But it's good for business. And right now, they're starting to serve 24 million um, get out of your house um, things. And all those police. The news got. So how do you feel about throwing grandma out? And she's got nothing. She's lived here 20 years and she almost finished paying off her mortgage. She only has $12 left, and she doesn't have it because uh, Moscow Mitch and the gang hasn't, you know, ramped up another, act, and Democrats in the Congress passed their Heroes Act, and made sure that it wasn't ever going to pass. And Moscow Mitch has one that was just for corporations. So it seems that someone in the hidden hand or the high table or the powers that should be want to ferment a revolution. I mean, they're trying real hard. And the only thing that stands in the way is the better nature of the American public. Everyone's going, oh, those have deep, oh, those boo boo boys. It's like, come on. That's a handful of people. I mean, hundreds, not thousands. Somebody, no. Now, I'm surrounded. Why I have this little hat is because I'm surrounded by, a militia kind of folk, and I have been for 20 years, right? So this just is like, and I wear a camo vest, and they sit down and talk to me, and they aren't what you think they are, and that is everybody. So here we are, 1 minute and 19, oh, excuse me, 3 minutes and 19 seconds. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Alba. um, Bottom line is, oh, mm, I'm here to tell you a story. I am a shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist. Now, you go, oh, sensei, what is that? You don't even put sensei in there. Sensei is a Japanese word that means teacher. And a griot is a person who tells you, helps you learn through telling you a story, right? And often, and what makes a difference between a boring old guy uh, and you know griot is that griot tries not to tell you the same story over and over again. And I um, out there in the deep green, my neighbor moved away because the bank foreclosed. And so for all summer they tried to sell it. Not going to happen. So they rented it out to some guy. I have no idea who he is. But the neighbor who was, I mean, the guy way over, not even my neighbor, but in the other side of my holler, was kind of rough riding it. The real estate lady took off, and then he's been showing it, and he's got the keys. So he basically I said, "Oh, there's some new people moving in. So that'll be nice. Maybe, hopefully, that's the right away to that house goes right across my front lawn. So I see them very like this close if I want to, meaning I can, you know, because I hear them coming down the road. I got nothing else at all. I'm gonna do.
When you build a fire, did you use these?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Yes, this is good. This is like kindling to me.
Well, that's what I've saved up. I've got a bunch, but I didn't want to take one. I got thinking, you build a fire.
I do. I'm a fire guy.
Well, we have an outdoor stove.
Yeah, yeah.
And it goes under.
Oh, really?
House. Yeah, it goes up under our house.
Oh. Is it got its own little?
We ain't got the water. Ours is just an air one.
Okay. So
yeah. My son fixed all of our stuff underground.
Yeah, yeah.
Up underneath the house.
I used to live in Sweden, and everyone had something like that.
About 6 years ago, we was at Northern Tool down in Johnson, and they marked their
stoves down
to make a new version.
Right.
And I got one, put it on pavement so I could. I love it. I go out about 10:30 at night. Don't worry about it until next morning.
The Swedes, they have the same thing. It's outside, and it's like a concrete box, right?
That's what we got. Ours is in a concrete building.
Right. But the stove itself, you don't even need the building. You just boom, right?
Ours is in a concrete building.
And it does water, not air, right? And so you get hot water for the shower and that, plus hot water for radiating.
And then my son put us a big fan in the top, so if it
to push the heat down. Yeah.
Well, no, if it overheats, he kicks on and blows it out the top.
Oh.
Keep it from
catching
the stove.
Right. Yeah. One question to you. So I have a lot of flower beds I put in. Do I just munch them up when fall comes?
I just cut them off for the year.
Right.
Cover them in either mulch, straw,
Right. Yep. Arr, baby. Oh, yep. So that was 7:17. So anyone got something to say? You know, I came back to, this live chat is for you guys to ask me questions. So back to shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic, alchemist. Right? What is that? Right? So shaman is a character, a person, man or woman. He's not a priest. He's not a holy man. None of the above. Basically, he's a griot, storyteller. But he puts the story on the shamanic frame, which means that person is talking from the history of the people, right? That's a shamanic frame, right? And indigenous people, Hmongers, right? So,
holidays coming up, it's really great.
Boo, ba-doo, 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 boo. Anyway, so that's the shaman. He puts what story you're going to tell on a frame so you can see it. And that's why you frame things, so you can see it. It's like, that's it, right? So, psycho is what your psychology manifests in your actions, right? And that's where you get neuroses, psychoses. And that's psychology. Now, you can't understand someone's psychology unless you understand their social structure, where they came from,
Yeah, I mean,
Not where they came from, but where they represent, and, what their job is, where they live, what their sexual preference, all their preferences, what they actualize as. And cultural is where grandma came from. So what you were brought up under, right? What traditions, what do you have for the holidays, that kind of stuff, right? Psychosocial, cultural, forensic means you take the picture that's in that frame and you pull the threads out, see where they came from, and you look at the threads, right? Psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologist, that's supposed to be able, you take off your prejudicial glasses. And what is prejudice? It's just an opinion. All it is. It's not like you're eating babies or you hate this. No, it's just an opinion. Right? Now, we can get to the place of eating babies and hating people, but it's just an opinion. And so, psychosocial, cultural, say. Alchemist. What is alchemist? You know, changes base metals into gold, right? And basest metal there is lead, and that's pretty expensive, almost what gold is. Not quite. So, but that isn't what it's talking about. We are the base metal. Our bag of water is full of trace metals. That's what makes us different than just a glass of water and us, right? And that the prana comes into us, a life force. So we breathe it in, goes through all our body through that unbelievable. And if you breathe through your nose, and breathe out through your nose. This nas is an amazing organ because it doesn't even just enable you to taste food. It processes the air that goes into your lungs, and there are all kinds of filters. I mean, this is where they got the HEPA filter from. So, all you mouth breathers, you're taking in the garbage straight into your lungs. Breathe in through your nose, and then you have to breathe out through your nose because it pushes the gunk out. In, out, right? So, and that prepares the air to go into your lungs, bringing the prana, life from Father Sky, Mother Earth, Holy Spirit. We are the Holy Spirit, right? This is the Trinity that Catholics talk about. They kind of perverted it, right? The Druids. So, breathing in love's co-creation, right? Through your breath, Father Sky. Then it doesn't work unless it's grounded up because it's electrical. So Mother Earth has, and you hear about this term chi. You watch all the kung fu movies. How's your chi? What's your chi like? And that's really what it's about. It's how grounded you are to Mother Earth. And when I studied with a Shinto priest, I was, we first started out how to breathe, and then, so breathing Father Sky, then we had to learn how to ground our chi, right? And next thing we learned was how to make tea, then how to bathe. And we built a tea house, we built a bathhouse, we built a hambu, which is the community center, basically. And he taught us, kung fu and jujitsu, right? And kung fu is basically grounding yourself, and jujitsu is like getting yourself out of a situation. Both are disciplines of martial arts that really manifest not in fighting, getting away, right? Um, and there were 12 of us, 6 guys, 6 girls, that were sent from different parts of the world, and most of them were doctors and nurses and healing people, and I was too. I was sent there by my colonel at Fort Hamilton to learn, an alternative way of healing, and he knew this guy, and for a long time, right? So anyway, that's how I got there, and I was the youngest, and I didn't have any, I wasn't doctor this or, everybody else had degrees and stuff, and right away, got there. It was an old farmhouse in Putney, Vermont, outside of Putney, and this lady donated to Sensei, and he came over from Japan and started this hambu. And right away, I kind of came in and sussed it out. Here are all these pudding heads who, don't even know how to, they're waiting for someone to serve them their meal, And I kind of started, kicking, they weren't walking, they were like sitting in their cars, they weren't going to get in the farmhouse or, And I went and explored everything. And at first I saw if there was any electricity, and there was, there was a meter there and it was on. And, came to a pole, and it was basically a panel and a meter that had been there for a trailer that had left, but there was a septic line and a water line, and there was a power line going to the old house and to the barn, but from the 20s. So I sussed all that out and found that the house was a mess, just, total, no one had lived in it for at least 5 years, if not 10. The doors had been open, the animals came in, the kids were partying in there. And so, but the barn was quite a nice big barn. It had been at one time dairy farm. You know, a lot of cows, but a few. It had a little milking thing and a place to pasteurize the milk and that whole scene. And that's why the barn had electricity and the hayloft. Again, no one had cows there forever, and so the top was actually someone had been living up there.
Hello.
Hey, art girl,
You got company.
how's the art world?
I've not been in art in a year.
You gotta
I know.
just take a minute.
I got some days that I'm on.
You got it. Anyway, so I cleaned that up, and there was a bed. You know, I cleaned that up, and then this girl walked in, Judy, sweet Judy Blue Eyes, and she was a nurse. She ran a ICU. You know, she had a bunch of letters behind her name, but she was a real human being. And she goes, I see you've been scoping the whole place out. So what's going on? You know, everyone else stay in their car, and Sensei is sitting on the porch in a rocking chair that you put him in. And what it is, I said, well, look at this place. It's really nice. You know, I'm going to fix it up for Sensei so he can at least have a nice place to stay. She goes, I brought some pillows and sheets. And so she goes out the car and she gets all her stuff. She brings it in there. And we fix it all up. She finds a vase. And I turn the water on so the bathroom up there works. And is that a cooler?
No, that's a pile of work.
Oh, paperwork.
Yes.
Oh, you're like a lawyer.
Yeah.
They're the guys who walk around with things like that all the time.
I wish I was a lawyer. No, I don't.
Right. No, you don't. No, take that away.
Yeah, forget I ever said that.
Yeah, forget it. She never said that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we fixed it all up, brought Sensei up there. He goes, thank you very much. Right. So, and the people kind of, when he got out of the chair, they kind of followed him and they looked, oh, this is really nice. We're going to stay here. I said, no, this is Sensei's place. We're going to stay in the farm. And they went, what? I said, and, you guys need to clean that place out. What? I'm like, you need to clean that. I said, no, I cleaned this out for Sensei. Right? We have to clean the house out for ourselves. So, come on, let's go, kids. So they all went back to their cars and sat in their cars. And I found the nicest, the biggest. They had a room that was off to the back, right? And it had its own fireplace. It had the toilet there,
Yeah.
And so I got the kitchen stove to work. I got the water to go into the kitchen and into the whole bathroom. And there's a privet, outside. So first thing I did was I fixed that room up, and I said, Judy, would you like to share this? I'd love to share that with you. Okay, well, we got to let me by my hair and just landed one on me. Yes, that seals the deal. I said, sure does. So I had a lock in my little bag of tricks, and I changed the lock, and so I could lock that room up, right? And so I cleaned up the kitchen because I was going to use the kitchen. I went out back. I started chopping kindling, and Judy went around looking for wood in the forest, and people just like watching us from the car. Oh, they're getting our house ready for us. And then we went in, and there was a little switch on the bottom, had a little pump for the water, and so I did, so I made us a cup of tea, and there was a tea service. So I had a thermos, a real good thermos. I put hot water in the thermos, put the tea service in the thermos, and we went up to Sensei, and it was getting towards dark 30, and he had, gotten his stuff and unpacked, and he goes, I really want to thank you. I said, Sensei, you're a Sensei. This is what you do. And he goes, good adept. And he goes, so who's this with you? I said, this is Judy. She's helped me do all this. So I'm a good adept. You hanging with this guy now? And she goes, yep. He goes, good choice. So we have tea, and it's starting to get dark, and the electric lights work there. And my you know, I, as an electrician, always have a flashlight with me, so I, or more than one. So I gave one to Judy and one for me, and I didn't, I got the electricity to work in that room where we were going to bed down. I got the little pump to work to move the water, but that's it. I didn't do anything else, right? So there were 2, 3 other bedrooms all over the place. It's one of those, Appalachian. People don't realize the Appalachian are in Vermont too. So anyway, it's one of those kind of houses. And at this time, everyone's getting, "Oh, you're gonna make us dinner." I said, "No, sorry. This is you got to do some work yourself." When it was light, I told you, "Come on, kids, let's clean the house up." Didn't want to do it, so no problem. See you in the morning. So Judy and I went in our little suite and closed the door, and they were left in the dark. And 3 of them left that night. One of them left in the afternoon. The other 2 in their cars left. So from 12 we went down to 9. And at the end of that week, we were down to 6, who actually was the people who should have been there. So because all the people, I have a doctorate, I'm an MD, blah blah blah. Those guys left. So that's where we are right now. That's what we're experiencing right now. It's like thinning of the herd of those kind of people, right? And when they talk about anybody who's going to, terrible people. No, sorry, not really. Everyone is nice. There is no such thing as a bad boy or a bad girl. Now, they can be in bad situations, but is that an electric hair cutter?
Pardon?
Is that an electric hair cutter?
Where?
That. No, that's your
That's
power.
my, yeah.
All right. Okay. No.
Why, did you need one?
Look at it. Yes, I do need one. I need a barber, but my barber is like 100 miles away.
Yeah, and probably closed.
No, he's so good that they don't close him.
That's good.
The mayor goes there, the chief of police go, they don't close him. And he's a black guy too.
Oh.
Yeah, and those guys go there just to so what are the black people feeling?
Yeah, you get stories.
Yeah. Whether the revolution is coming or not.
Oh my gosh.
And I have to tell you this. Things aren't half as bad as they ever were. It's all being on both sides, on every side, on every freaking side.
I know.
Because it's like to think that those morons who they call Antifa are really a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, they smoke pot and eat,
potato
chips.
Yeah.
Come on, no. And the other guys drink, shine, and fall over.
Right.
So none of these people have the.
They won't have staying power.
No, or any kind of power,
Yeah.
really. So it's like, but other entities just use it to.
Trying to,
Yeah. And I've been studying who are the people who want to split us up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
And it's not a state character. It's not like China or Russia or any of those. Now there are morons there who just screw around all the time. So, it's not like anything new.
Just for,
But who is this other entity? And what's really interesting, about 8 years ago, what we're going through right now, the Ukraine went through. I mean,
Oh, really?
Poster child.
Huh.
Just exactly it, right? Ukraine was a place that the Germans came in there, the Russians came in. It was a place that people kept taking them over. No one messed with them because it was so nice and they had such great food that they didn't blow the place up. They went there for vacation.
And kept,
right? So
all the different cultures in one spot.
So when the Russian curtain came down, these people shined because they turned it into one big hotel. Everybody, they're right on the Black Sea. Everything was great for 10 years. And they, back in the day, they only had one channel, state TV, and then they got satellite dishes and blah, 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 right?
Yep.
And then they started getting cable. So,
And here in the outside, yeah.
all right, and not the
else.
outside. They started having their own version of Fox News and their own version of CNN
Oh,
and their
gosh.
own version of MSNBC and their own version. And those entities mobilized communities, and within 5 years, they were all killing each other.
Mess, yeah.
And it was because of
Just-
that.
Yeah.
And in 2014, I was running a church outreach thing, and these ladies came from Ukraine. And it was just before the presidential whoopee was about to start
Yeah.
in earnest, before Donald came down the escalator.
Right.
And these women,
The king ascended.
right. These women were said, guys, you better watch out because what happened to us, and they had,
Oh, no.
they were media people, so they made a movie, they wrote a book, they had photos, and everyone that I got there to come, what I call the usual suspects, they didn't have the politeness to even listen. All they did was talk about their bubble.
Oh,
You know, the far left, the
Yeah,
far right,
just-
the
yeah.
this, the that.
Fox versus
Right.
CNN.
And
Yeah.
they're all, and the girls were like this. We told you, don't do this. you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And here it is 5 years later.
Yeah. Crazy.
And that's a short story right there. So 26 minutes. It's 10:44. Oh. That's what I did. She set up her own little office over there. Anyway, so no questions. Oh, at 3:33, 30 minutes and 30 seconds. So you and I are just, we have our offices here.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did. Where did my-
He snuck off someplace. He's probably out in the back mowing the lawn. Yeah. Of course, he was waiting for that. Anyway. So, it's 27. So no one's jumping on at all. So I'm out of here on to my next. So that Greg gave us a little scare there.
Yeah. Well, and he still, then right after that, he had to do. He woke up in the middle of the night and said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I have a toothache." And I had to laugh. I said, "You're kidding." I mean, it was like, what next? You know?
Well, your teeth really mirror your
Your
body.
health, yep,
So if you had something go on here,
yep.
it's going to affect your teeth. It's really amazing how that is. To the point I had to pull all my teeth out.
I wish I could have, because I've had so much money and I'd have been better off.
Well, when someone else was paying for it, I could let them do it. But
Yeah.
when I had no money to do it, just let them pull it all out. And your gums are pretty strong. I can eat almost. The only thing I can't eat is corn, steak, and apples.
I put my card on there in case you have to have the card.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yep, it's still morning. Boy, time goes slow when you're waiting. Right? I said 30.
Hi. Is this yours? Mine.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, probably mine, but it's been on the floor too long, so. I always got vitamins in my pockets.
Yeah. That's why I have problems.
Yeah.
I got it.
Do. I mean, really, around here, when there's no one nearby, I demask. Anyway, maybe Monday I'll try this again, see if anyone's around. I mean, you Europeans should be, this is like late morning for you, or early afternoon. It should be, and it's a Saturday, so, That's why I came here to do it, thinking that the folks who haven't been able to jump on. Okay, here we go. I'm out of here. In 5, 4, about 30 seconds. Unless somebody jumps on. So AI, it was good puppy dog. You're a good puppy dog. Yes, you are. Good puppy, 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 puppy. Yep. So, gang, remember to go to X-Rated, XRATTED.blogspot.com. Read my stuff. Love to hear what you think of it. Okay? Love to hear it. Love to hear from you. Come on. And get a hold of me at my Gmail, Gmail, and that is thedudewait42 @gmail. So, Gmail, thedudewait42 @gmail. Blogspot. XRATTED.blogspot.com, and tell more folk about Dreamy Dreamland, right? I mean, I got more than 1,200 shows. You don't even have to, no one's chatting, so go back and look at some of those old ones. I would, if I was you guys, I would go through them, do it synchronistically, like throwing a dart at a dartboard or throwing dice or something. Get 3 numbers. So 001, that's the first show. 0012, that's the 12th show. You get the picture. Get 3 numbers and go watch that show. And if they're all still up there, who knows how long they will be. And I would take down the top 10, your favorite. And I would love to hear which are your top favorite. And there's some pretty wild, crazy stuff there, especially back in the day when I was still at the school. And because, I got John the best freaking internet there is, right? He's got it straight off the pipe, right? I have none, and I could I was way up in the hills, so my phone got 5 bars all the time, so I could be on the phone, I could internet, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I hope all is well. Remember, XRATTED.blogspot.com. And all you people who love the Bible, if you would read my writings, I am like, the rabbi. I mean, a lot of people call me rabbi because I take words apart, I forensically pull a thread. That's what rabbis do, Whereas priests basically just, follow the book for the, get that cup of blood. So, come on. AI, how about 1 thumbs up? Come on. I know it's against the AI rule, but come on. So that's about it for now. I might give you another few minutes to see if anyone jumps on.
Yeah, I don't know though about full time. I mean, if we can get that Oh, it's tough, I'm telling you.
Yeah, these shows are. What do you think? Countdown. Diversity. What's it good for? Who's there? One sunny day. 8:15 a.m. Hiroshima 75 years ago. Yes, like I said yesterday, was almost the 19th anniversary. Boy, time flies when you're having fun, having war. And, that building disintegrated. You see that thing just cascading, turning into dust, falling down. Reason why they couldn't, real estate wise, they wanted to get rid of those things. They weren't making money. Larry wasn't making money, so he went into the deal with the devil to have them, blown apart. He made sure he wasn't around for, a good 6 months until all of that asbestos dust. More people died of the asbestos that was in the air down there for 6 months than died in the buildings. And when the North Tower got hit, back when Billy Boy was president, the blind sheikh tried to blow up World Trade Center by putting a big bread truck full of ammonium nitrate in the basement, in a parking lot down there. Now, if he had just moved it over against the wall, what they call a bathtub, he would have blown that side out, and the whole Hudson River would have flooded all of the subways and Penn Central line because that's where, World Trade Center, every subway line, every Penn Central like path train goes right through um, that, and it would have, you know, especially if they did it during rush hour, they would have. FEMA estimated when Sandy came through, they estimated that if they had done that, um, all the subways and everything would have been flooded within 15 minutes. And if they did it during rush hour, they would have killed 1 million people, right? And the airplane that allegedly hit one of those buildings went right down the Hudson and went right by, the Con Ed's nuclear power plant. What's it called? I forget its name. But it was the first commercial power plant. Still is working. 50 years past its licensee. Thanks to Ronald Reagan and Billy Clinton. And so nothing is as it seems to be, gang. Definitely isn't. And I can tell you some real stories about stuff that doesn't seem to be. But when I was a 19, 17, between 17 and 19, I put my stint in Local 3 because you don't get a master's license in New York unless the IBEW has given you the blessing. And my grandpa Stahl, my electric mentor, he started the IBEW back in the 1910s. And so I came from good pedigree. So anyway, I put in my time, and I got there, and I had already been working for the Stalls, for let's see, 9 to 17, so almost 10 years. I was a good journeyman. I wasn't a mechanic, I wasn't an apprentice, but in the union way, you got to go through the hoops. So I, went in as an apprentice, and you had to go to apprentice school, right? So I went to first day apprentice school. We go to work, we get the talk, and we start sweeping. That's all you sweep. You clear the site, which makes sense. Safety, OSHA. When you're working, you shouldn't have crap everywhere, so you can twist your ankle or fall or whatever. So that was the apprentice job. That's all we did. Let's do that, sweep. And a couple days after that, we went to our first evening class, at City College, and we're sitting there. It's about 12 of us, and no one shows up. So I said, "Hi, how you guys doing?" I take the initiative, and I said, um, anyone have any electric? Anyone know about anything about electricity? And they go, huh? And I put Ohm's law up there, and I start to explain. I said, this is all you got to know. It's the only math you got to know, period, right? And then I drew wire sizes and showed how many amps they could take. That was the first thing I taught them, right? And I was like going on like I go on, telling stories and showing them this and that and the other thing. And I said, did we get a textbook? Does anyone have a textbook? And someone said, there's a box over here. We'll open it up. And it was a very nice, rudimentary everything, tools, materials, basic theory, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, I just talked to you a bit. I want you guys here, pass them around. These books are yours, Is the paper here supposed to sign? I said, we don't need to sign anything unless you want to. And so everyone got their book. And I said, start at the beginning, see who wrote it, see when it was published, read what's, the index of what's in there, go to whatever seems interesting, right? And read the first paragraph of that chapter. And then when you're all done doing that, you ask me questions about it, right? So that happens. And this guy walks in and he looks around and he sees me up there. And so he just sits down, right? So about 5 minutes later, everybody's finished reading their paragraph and we talk about, and we all had different things, rounding this, what's rounding, what? What's a phase, and I explained it all. And so after about an hour and a half, I said, well, I'm getting hungry. Anybody hungry? And they said, yeah, we're all hungry. We went to work and we had a meal. I said, okay, so this is the first day of class. Come on back. When are we coming back? Thursday. Come back Thursday, same time. Bring something to eat. Bring some food. Bring something to drink. Make sure you get a little bit more enough to share with everybody else, especially me. So they all went off. and I was like, went over to the box and looked at it and saw who signed in, and then the guy came over to me. He goes, "So, did the union send you to teach?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so. I'm an apprentice." He goes, "You're an apprentice?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Who are you apprenticing with? Who's your house?" I said, "Mike Stoll." "Senior. Oh, you're that kid." I said, "Yeah, I'm that kid." He goes, "How would you like to teach this class?" And I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, yeah, because obviously you can. You did a great job. The guy who was supposed to be here couldn't be here, wasn't going to be able to be here. I ran down just to say, kids, take the books with you. You did a great job. You taught the best class I've ever seen." And I said, "Well, thank you very much." And I'm like 19. And he goes, only journeymen can teach this class. I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yep." And so he takes out his wallet, he thumbs through a bunch of things, he writes something on it. He goes, "You're now a journeyman." And that was my union card, which he was going to give to all these chuckleheads who left. He goes, "I'll be back Thursday and give them their apprentice cards." So I jumped 4 year, apprentice, mechanic, journeyman. Journeyman is like everyone has to do. You're like a bishop, you know. First you're a novitiate, mechanic, you're like a priest. Journeyman, you're like a bishop, right? So, and union rep, that's like cardinals, right? So, and president of the union, pope, right? So, anyway, he says, "You're now a journeyman." So, I went from apprentice to journeyman instead of 4 years in about 2.5 hours, right? So, which is great. I got paid more. And so, I was then sent off to work on the World Trade Center. And that was every union's like, they did their best job on doing that. Everyone did their best work. So they had their best people on that. It was like an ant farm. It was like 60,000 people working on these buildings. And the World Trade Center were built off site in factories, trucked there and stuck together like Tonka toys. So instead of building it the old fashioned way by bringing steel and then riveting and then, everything was compositely put together and interlocked like geometrically in a way that gave it strength. And one of the things about it was every floor of the World Trade Center was an acre big, an acre, and it had no walls, it had no lateral, vertical support to the ceiling above, right? Because everything interlocked. And when they would do these pours, the floors were 4 foot thick, and it had steel in it, 24 inches in width. Not, the steel itself was 24 inches, in the I beam. So the I beam was like 8 foot. It was like no, no jet plane burning JPL for 2 hours can bring down a building. Sorry, it's not it, right? But they were never going to be able to take those buildings down and utilize that real estate space like Larry wanted to, Larry Silverberg or whatever his name is. And he had, nobody wanted that building, so he bought it with the option to buy, um, and only had to put down. I think he put down $7 million. Right. Then he quickly went and got them insured for $3 billion apiece because there was this tag of terrorists, and they had been, attacked during Billy Boy's time. And like I said, if they had just moved that truck, you know, 400 yards over there against the wall, um, that would have been the end of, it would have killed 1 million people easy, right? So obviously, those terrible extremists really aren't. They're not too extreme. So anyway, after that happened, they put in some serious protocols, and one of the protocols of the World Trade Center, and it's not one or two buildings, it's like 12 buildings, um, was that if one building gets attacked, everyone gets out. Period. Right. So when the North Tower got hit, everyone in the South Tower, half of the people hadn't even shown up yet, and the ones who were left, orderly got out, and there were men in suits talking in their sleeves, wearing sunglasses, so you couldn't see their eyes, couldn't see their soul, and they said, "No, no, no, go back to your office and wait. Shelter in your offices." And I said, "Well, no, we're getting out of town. And no, 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 go back." And so if everyone would have been able to leave, only 70 people would have died. But they wanted at least 2,500 people dead. Then we could have a war, right? Then we could go get kick some butt, right? So that was 9/11, right? So I worked on the World Trade Center I was the only guy with long hair, right? Out of 60,000 workers on the site. Hippie. But the electrician guys couldn't do that because I was a journeyman. So I was like the bishop. They had to kiss the ring. And then within 6 months, I got involved in being, nobody wanted to be the union rep there. You couldn't make any money, So you couldn't have overtime. You could waste, not waste, but have overtime, but you wouldn't get paid for it. Right? And so I was already getting paid 3 times what I would have been gotten paid, last 4 years. So when someone said, we can't find anyone to be the union rep for this job, you want to do it? Again, I was like 19. I was almost 20. I said, sure. So I then went up to cardinal status. So boy, everybody, because they wanted anything, they had to come talk to me. And some people said, how did you go from being an apprentice to being a union rep in less than 5 months? I said, talent and good looks. And my mentor is Grandpa Stahl, the Pope. Anyway, so the other reason I was there, they had this, so that this building is being built, like, off site and just put together like an erector set. And man, it had miles and miles and miles of everything was so it could take a nuclear weapon hitting it, right? And that's what took it down. It was hit by an energy weapon from space. I mean, if you watch those things, you can see that there are certain explosions going on. I mean, whole chunks of the building from inside are flying through the air and landing like 20 blocks over there. I mean, and a whole bunch of stuff that allegedly started the building 7 on fire, which was where the CIA, the Treasury Department, all those people, all of the records of the Bush family were in that building and burnt. And they were supposed to become public records the next day. Just like September 10th, Rumsfeld goes in front of a news group and says, we just kind of discovered that there's a 3 trillion, not billion, 3 trillion missing in defense. I mean, it has been spent. We have no idea where it's going, what it's doing, blah, blah, blah. And that's basically spent on what is known as the breakaway civilization. Go, Richard Dolan. He coined that phrase. Go read Joseph P. Farrell. He's got 20, 30 books on everything that you need to know. Go read None Dare Call Conspiracy by Gary Allen. And there's another book, if you can even find it, it's called Alternative 3. And it basically states that back in the 1890s, the scientific world of that time, discovered, global warming. And they actually discovered that it wasn't global, that it was solar system-wide. And then through math, they realized it was, our solar system was going into a new universe. It was called the Aquarian Age. And so some of those guys were mystics and scientists, and they were kind of. So in Alternative 3, they talk, first 60 pages about, hey, we already knew about this, and this book was published in 72. 3 alternatives was stop, forget industry and capitalism as we know it, go into the new age where we have free energy from the vacuum, which Tesla perfected in the 1890s. If you go look up Warden Cliffs in Long Island, right, and Shoreham, Long Island in the 1890s, Mr. Morgan paid him to build a industrial size, proof of concept of wireless telegraphy, and Tesla had wireless voice and picture and data, like the internet, and energy, so you could have cars driving around without having to um, store up the battery. There were no batteries. The car was just, and that's what why the car is called Tesla is because it uses a synchronous alternative um, engine, which can go 0 to whatever in a nanosecond. It has no gearbox, just a rheostat. And Tesla had this airplanes, everything, using this free energy, 0 point energy, and that's we this other dimension, just right here, right, and in between it is this thing called a vacuum, and you can like put a little needle in there and siphon off unlimited amounts of juice, and that's what Tesla did. He discovered this stuff in his experiments in Colorado Springs. And if you go watch this movie about whatchamacallits, magic guys. It's called The Reveal, I think. And David Bowie's playing Nikola Tesla. And this magician goes to visit Tesla to get a thing that will make his magic great. And Tesla does. And David Bowie plays Tesla. And that part of the movie is maybe 20 minutes, and it's the best part of the movie because it really gives you an idea of what Tesla was doing. So that was the 1890s. So things are a lot, aren't what they seem to be. And all this stuff that we're going through. I mean, right now, these fires in California and Colorado and Oregon, I mean, they are beyond apocalyptic. So they're being forced, first, bad habits of just letting the forests get too much material. And then, through a means of things like HAARP, high altitude resonant radio precipitation, where they can microwave a chunk of the upper atmosphere to change the weather and cause earthquakes and whatever you want and destruction. How do you think Japan got what it got? So, and it isn't one nation state over another. These are transnational. It's like I was talking to some person. I said, I remember, I learned how to read. My Uncle Steve said, you're a smart guy, and I know you already read. This is like when I was about 6. He goes, so here, read these books. And he gave me Casino Royale, Russia with Love, Dr. No, what else? A few other James Bond books. And man, I read them like comic books like that. More. So he started giving me all kinds of stuff. And that's really where I kind of got into reading. You just sop it up like a sponge. So anyway, that's where we are. There was like the CIA, there was the MI6, there was the KGB, and there was this thing called SMERSH, which was a private corporate entity, transnational business, and that's what ISIS was. And ISIS was the poster child of the Khazarian mob, which happened in the 14th century, or during the days of the Crusades. And they were just like ISIS. And ISIS used their flag. It was pretty amazing. So nothing new under the sun. Oh, look, we're almost, I was going to get out of here in 30:30, and now it's 53:53. So there's 2 of you now. 1 thumbs up, thank you. And no one wants to ask a question. So when it hits 55:55, I'm out of here. I got things to do. So that was just a little taste of things are always the same. Nothing changes, except you. You can change. You're the guy and gal who can make a change. Arf, 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 arf. So you a dog person or a cat person?
Both.
Oh, you can chew gum and
Yeah.
brush your hair.
Yeah.
Man, I go.
Yes.
I'm just a dog, but I can deal with cats, especially if cats.
Well, it depends. It
depends on the
about
cat.
Me. Our cat is cool. I mean, I swear, like if she starts to come towards you and you don't want her, you just go like that. She'll turn around and go back and lay down.
Yep.
She's
more like a dog than a cat.
Yes, really.
And I had
I've seen, the ones that are all frantic.
Right.
Yeah, no. But we had a chocolate lab and Weimaraner mix.
Oh, that's a
And,
great mix.
Oh,
Oh,
and
man.
we had to have her put down.
How many years do you
about
have
2
them?
years. 7, and we had just had her knees fixed.
All right,
We put a
right.
bunch of money in her,
Right, right.
and then her kidneys failed. And we rescued her from the Watauga Humane Society. She's like 5 months old.
Oh, yeah. Well, you had,
And because of our age and
Right.
just wanting to travel and
Right,
stuff, right. And he's stronger than I am. He said no more dogs.
Right.
You know, because a cat, that's a part of why I'm a cat.
Right, right,
person. You can leave for a
right,
week,
right.
leave
And
next
this
to
is
food,
true. Yeah, yeah.
a couple litter boxes,
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Whereas a dog,
They can't do that.
So
They're like a 7-year-old.
yeah.
You know, they're
And
smarter
our
than a
cat,
7-year-old.
our cat is, and I mean, Greg it was so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so like the whole time my kids are growing up, you know, my youngest son wanted a cat, you know. He kept saying no, Greg kept saying no. So we moved out and left my kid. We told my son, okay, we're buying this other house. You're going to pay us for this one.
Right,
We
right.
moved out. So
Right.
the kid didn't move out on us. We moved out on him.
Right.
And like we're at this new house and we're watching TV one night and I hear this noise and I said,
It's
what
a
is
cat?
that? I said, what is that? And Greg said, it's on TV. And I heard it again, and I said, no, what is that? And he said, it's on the TV. And I muted it and then he heard it. And so we went outside and this little kitten was under our bushes and she went straight up Greg. And he brought her in and fell in love. And
Yep.
my son comes over and says,
You got a cat.
oh, I see how it is.
Yeah. I got to pay for that
All
house.
those years,
Yeah,
I
right.
wanted a cat and couldn't have one.
right.
And now, I leave home or, we're
Yeah.
not together anymore and you
Yep.
get one.
You get one. Yep. Well, it's amazing how many feral cats are around here. People just throw them out the window.
Well, see, one house on the corner where we live, I swear that's what because they are constantly having more dogs than I think people
Right.
are letting them out there.
Yep.